Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and anybody else who is joining me here today. This is the Sheff United way, and we are celebrating. We have not just beaten, because I don't think that goes far enough to sum up quite what we've just seen on the pitch today. We have absolutely stuffed Sheffield Wednesday in their own backyard. 3-0 the final score, and if we're being honest with ourselves, it should have been more than that. Watching the game, if United had walked out of that game 5-0, 6-0, none of that would have been unfair, because we have just played against one of the worst teams, and I did not realise how bad they were, but one of the worst teams to play in the Championship, certainly one of the worst teams to ever show up to a Sheffield derby. After a season of lows for United, it really felt as though we've got a massive run of games in front of us. This was a huge start to that. This should be a massive high for the team, because it's an unbelievable win. It's back-to-back wins at Hillsborough. It's 3 wins in a row in the derby, and I don't know the last time a team did that. Certainly, I can't remember it in the last 30 years. So, yeah, I mean, what more can you ask for? It's a huge win. Hopefully, it's the catalyst to a much better season from here on in. And let's get into our player ratings. And starting with the man in goal, Michael Cooper. Look, I'm giving him a 7, but really, he had nothing to do. Like, I don't know what I'm rating him for. I'm rating him for how cute he looked while he was kicking the ball. I'm rating him for he caught a corner at one point, and I thought, oh, it was a good catch. But really, I'm rating him for standing in his net and watching the rest of the game with the rest of us. I mean, ultimately, he had so little to do in this game, because Wednesday never got forward at all. Never looked like scoring a goal, never looked like creating a chance. I don't think they've had a single shot on target. They might have only had 1 or 2 shots in general. This was as easy a game as Michael Cooper is ever going to have, but I'm not going to mark him down, and I'm in a good mood. So, 7 for Michael Cooper. 𝗤𝗵𝗲𝗕𝗿, I'm giving an 8. I thought he had another good game. I thought down that right-hand side is where United were at their most threatening. And I thought, actually, in terms of chance creation and who looked most like hurting Wednesday, 𝗤𝗵𝗲𝗕 was maybe that man, particularly on the wings. I think he created an unbelievable chance for Bamford right at the end of the game. He had a fantastic dribble where he got into the box and then just missed out to a fantastic tackle. I thought defensively, he was never beaten by Jamal Lowe coming down that side. They wanted to try and get in a little bit behind there. I think they wanted Lowe to be one of their main creators, but 𝗤𝗵𝗲𝗕 really just absolutely controlled it time and time again, kept stopping the cross, kept making sure they weren't going to hurt us coming down his wing. Thought a massive build on what we've seen from him previously. Defensively, much more solid than usual. And ultimately, I'm just really glad to see him back in the team, to see us playing with a proper right back. On to the centre-backs, and Japhet Tanganga, I've gone 8 again. I thought he was completely untroubled, and I think part of that is because he was just really good. I mean, I've talked a lot about Wednesday being useless, and they were, but let's give our lads some credit here, because just because we're playing against an awful team doesn't mean that we don't have to do what we do well. And we've seen so far this season, it's not really taken the other team being any good to beat us quite often. And actually, in this game, we gave nothing easy away. We were organised, we were structured, we were under control, we were comfortable. And for Tanganga in particular, I thought in terms of defensively, I thought he won every header. Every time the ball came forward, he was just dominating, winning the headers, finding his pass. I thought he looked calm when he got the ball at his feet. I thought he just handled all of the limited threat they did put forward with class, ultimately. He should have had a penalty in the first half. Don't know what the ref was thinking, in all honesty. Right in front of him, such an obvious penalty. I think ultimately he just felt sorry for Wednesday. I think through pity, he didn't want to give United a penalty because he knew we were going to walk our way through this game regardless. I think more than anything from Tanganga, it was nice to just see a centre-half with no defensive lapses, no silly mistakes, just doing the sensible things and making sure we didn't throw away any points. Next to him, 𝗤𝗵𝗲𝗕, I've also gone for an 8, and just, see above, really, what I said last time. I think, actually, if I was going down into the decimal, 𝗤𝗵𝗲𝗕 probably was the marginally better of the 2 centre-backs. I think in terms of that sort of calmness, He really exudes that. He's such a leader for that defensive unit. He's such a leader for this team. I think with the ball at his feet as well, he's much more likely to try and help us play through the lines and to potentially look at creative through long balls. I think he's just somebody who helped us through all of those tough periods. And it felt as though whenever there was moments that Wednesday were going to create, whether it needed an interception, whether it needed someone to win a big header at the back, Ben Mee was pretty much always there, comfortable. Next to him, Sam McCallum. For McCallum, I've gone for a 7. I thought it was another good showing from McCallum. I thought defensively, in particular, he was absolutely solid. Thought a lot of their threat, they wanted to go down their right. They really wanted to try and get 𝗲𝗲𝗲 coming over. They wanted to have 𝗣𝗲𝗲 pushing on. That is how they want to hurt teams. And McCallum just stood up and handled that with aplomb time and time again. I thought it was really good defensively. Thought going forward, this was one of his weaker games in terms of what we've seen from him recently. We weren't creating any chances from that long throw. We didn't really use that long throw as much as we should have done. I thought some of the delivery when he was taking corners wasn't very good, if we're being honest with ourselves. But let's be honest, it was a good performance. It was solid, and he was part of a really good defensive team. Now, into the midfield, and I'm breaking a rule here because I don't do half measures. I don't like them. I like 1s. I like 3s. I'm not about this 0.5 malarkey. However, 𝗣𝗲𝗲, I've gone for 8.5 because I think he deserves an exception because he was better than an 8. I thought for the first 35 minutes, he was the outstanding player on the pitch by an absolute mile. I thought he won every tackle, won every header, every interception. Every time there was a loose ball, he was on it. He was just dominant through that midfield. He seemed like he was everywhere for half an hour. He won obviously for the first goal. He's basically the creator of that goal. He gets up high, wins the ball off 𝗲𝗲𝗲, lays it off into O'Hare, who then eventually creates the goal for Campbell. But I thought it was a brilliant 35-minute performance from somebody who really showed everything we need from a central midfielder. It was a fantastic performance. However, I felt he tired really quite badly in the second half. And clearly fitness is still a question mark for him at this stage. I thought he was still good. I thought he was still functional. He still made sure that we were solid in defence and in sort of through that midfield gap. But overall, I just really felt as though he lost the control of the game that he had in that first 35 minutes. I think he wasn't as involved generally. I thought in terms of his intensity, it seemed to drop away. And that did coincide with Wednesday having a period where they had more of the ball. It was only 15, 20 minutes. They weren't creating chances, but they had more of the ball and looked a little bit more comfortable. And I think that was because 𝗲𝗲𝗲's legs had gone ultimately as we went through that second half. So I love to see it from him. I loved his performance, particularly in that first half. I thought he was huge and has the potential to be a massive player if he can keep that level of performance up. But to be honest, for him to be exactly the player we need, I'd like to see a little bit more fitness. If he can sustain it for 90 minutes rather than just for 35, that'd be better. Next to him, 𝗍𝗍𝗍. And I've struggled with the rating for 𝗍𝗍𝗍 because he did some things really well. And I mean, it was an unbelievable interception / tackle / let's be generous and call it a pass for the second goal for Tyrese Campbell. You know, he does that so well. It's perfectly weighted. Campbell's able to then go in on goal, smash it in the bottom corner. I thought that moment really summed up something that Pep can do really well in terms of being the interceptor, reading the passing lanes, try and make sure players aren't able to get through him. However, I did feel as though he had moments where he was potentially not quite up to speed with the game. I think particularly in the first half, they only had 2 touches. So I think one of the key stats in this game is that in the first half, Wednesday only had 2 touches in United's box. But both of them came from Svante Ingolson running off the back of Pep. He'd lost his man just a little bit and allowed them to have a little bit of space in our box. I'm being slightly overcritical in a performance where United have done really well. And I thought Pep had a much improved performance, one of his best performances of the season so far, in a season where he's really struggled. I thought this was great to see from him. He looked more like his former self, but he's still not quite there. And I thought of that midfield too, he probably was the weaker, albeit that I still thought it was a good performance. And the 7 is a good rating for 𝗍𝗍𝗍. And I do think it's a much improved performance on where he's been previously. Into our attackers now. I'll start with Andre Brooks out on the right. I'm going to give him a 7. I thought he tormented. I thought Wednesday's best player, if we're being honest, was their left back. But it was Harry Amass, the man who was up against Andre Brooks. But I still thought Brooks got the better of that battle, particularly the last 20, 30 minutes. I think Wednesday left him a lot of space down that right, and he was just tormenting them almost in trying to create chances and get United forward. But he was flattering to deceive as much as anything else. I thought there were more goals there for United today. I thought potentially we could have had 5, we could have had 6, and so many of those attacks broke down as they came to Brooks on that right-hand side, where we were just getting crowded out, or he wasn't picking the right pass, or he wasn't quite able to make those chances. I really like his partnership with Femi. I think that's so much better. I really love to see that. I think the overlapping and the understanding that they've got of each other is so much improved from what we've seen from United in recent weeks. So I think there's a lot of good here. I think a lot of United's good play came down that right as well. And Brooks is a huge part of that. So I'm not dissing his performance. Still thought he was really good, but I'm giving him a 7 because I thought on the day, potentially we could have got a little bit more out of him in terms of chance creation, goal scoring. 𝗕𝗿 𝗚𝗿, I've gone for an 8. And I think this was because he created 2 or 3 really good opportunities for United. It's a lovely way to pass that sort of he puts Campbell in for on that first goal. He then created another opportunity for Campbell in the second half, right at the start. It's almost exactly the same as the first goal, to be honest. He knocks it just for him, running in on his left foot. Campbell went near post rather than far, and the chance had gone. But I thought, again, that just shows you how much he stepped up from last season in terms of the chance creation, the way that he's playing, the way that he's been a driver for United going forwards. I think once again, when United were being creative, when we were looking like going forward, most of that good play does come through Cal because he's our main man right now. You know, we can't deny that. He's the player through which all of the good things that United do seems to flow. I thought as well his energy in the press was really effective once again. And I think when we were trying to get the ball and really struggling in the second half, he was somebody who was often winning those 50-50s, winning his tackles and trying to get United up the pitch, even when it wasn't maybe as successful as he has been previously. So I've got an 8 for 𝗕𝗿 𝗚𝗿. Now, I'm going to do this a little bit differently in terms of the attackers because I'm going to just throw the subs in. So we're going to be talking about 4 attackers as we go through this section because I think that's the fairest way to do it because all of them had an impact on the game in one way or another. So I'll start with Danny Ings, and I've given a 6 to Danny Ings. Absolutely should have scored in that first half. He got presented with a beauty of an opportunity. 𝗏𝗏𝗏 just gets that pass all wrong, lets Danny Ings have free run one-on-one with a keeper, and that feels like it should be his bread and butter. That feels to me as though that's what we've signed Danny Ings for, running in one-on-one, find the finish, kill the game almost, because if it's 2-0 after 15 minutes, it could have ended a cricket score. I mean, it felt like it could have been a cricket score anyway, but if we got that goal, that really could have been a day for the memory books. It was unlucky that he didn't actually get a goal later on. I've seen it a couple of times. I don't think this was offside. I think he's in line with the fullback who's behind whoever it is that crosses the ball. I've remembered the details really well. You should be proud of me. But whoever it is, I think it's Ingelsson who's down there playing sort of right back in the position. And I think he's playing him onside. So I think he's really unlucky that he doesn't get his first United goal in this game. You know, maybe this is another one I talked about it earlier. Maybe the lino felt sorry for Wednesday in the same way that the referee did in not giving that penalty. But on the whole, I thought this was the least effective of the 4 attackers that United put on the pitch today. I thought Ings ran well, but didn't really get himself involved in the game. I thought the quality was lacking when he did have opportunities, whether it was to find the pass or to find the goal himself. I just thought he was missing a little bit in terms of his end product, but I thought it was a decent performance. And like I say, I've gone for a 6. Next up, Patrick Bamford. And I thought he was a 7. I've given a 7 to Patrick Bamford because it was a short cameo coming up off the bench, but I think it really showed what he can bring to this United team. So he looked strong when the ball was coming to his feet, but I thought his quality on the ball was really what stood out to me more than anything else. I mean, that pass he played through to Cannon, and I know Cannon ultimately missed the chance, but the pass he played was perfect. You could not ask for a better ball for a striker running through on goal. It is just beautiful. It's perfectly weighted in the right position for him to take it in his stride. And it shows exactly what it is that he can do, what he can bring to this team coming off the bench. I thought he should have scored himself. He was trying to be way too clever with his back heel finish. He should have just either left it for one of the 5 players behind him queuing up to knock it in, or he should have kicked it properly because that was a gilt-edged opportunity for him to really drive this home and get a goal in his debut at Hillsborough. How special could that have been? Overall, though, it's hard to complain too much. I thought it was a really promising debut, and I think there's a lot to like there about what Patrick Bamford is going to bring to the Blades. Up next, Tom Cannon. And I am delighted for him. I really am. I've given him a 7 for his performance today because I think we saw the good and the bad of him. But let's not focus too much on the bad. Yes, he missed a bad chance because of a poor touch that he took in the build-up. But ultimately, Tom Cannon has followed in the footsteps of Ryan Brewster. He's got his goal at Hillsborough in the derby. I thought in terms of that chance where he wasn't able to put the ball in the back of the net, his movement was unbelievable. His first touch was brilliant. Yes, he let himself down later on, but let's try and focus on the positives. Let's boost him up just a little bit. And his goal, yes, it takes a little deflection in the middle, but I'm so happy to see him pick the ball up, drive towards goal and just have a shot. I think that makes such a difference because we've seen a player lacking in confidence, who's not been able to create anything, who's not been able to really look like he was going to. And this was a player who showed intent. He looked like somebody who wanted a goal today, who really wanted to be the man, trying to get that third goal for United, trying to push us forward, trying to get us that sort of killer blow to the game that makes this a more special day than maybe just a 2-0 would have been. I like to see it. I want to see more of it. I want to see a proper Cannon who is going to be effective, who wants to be involved for United. And him getting a goal today could just be that. But in terms of the players on the pitch, we, of course, have to end with the main man, our Derby main man. He was built for days like today. He just loves the big moments in the big games. Whether it's at Hillsborough, at Bramall Lane, he just loves playing against Wednesday. I've gone the big 10 for 𝗍𝗫𝗲𝗕. And I'm going 10 because I'm excited and I've had a really good day. But I'm also going for a 10 because Campbell has struggled at times this season with his movement, with his energy, with the way that he's been performing off the ball, as well as performing with the ball at his feet. And today was so much better. He clearly just loves putting the ball in the Wednesday net. Thought both goals were really well taken, got them on his left foot, and both were just passes across the goal into that bottom corner. He could potentially have had a hat-trick. He snatched at one chance that 𝗚𝗿𝗲 set him up for just at the start of the second half. But overall, just a much improved performance. I thought off the ball, his movement was so much better. He was trying to get into good positions. He was harrying defenders. I thought he made 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏's afternoon just an absolute nightmare. I think every time the ball came forward, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 was panicking because he knew Campbell was on him and was more likely to get the ball. He was bullying him. And I wasn't shocked when he had to go off just after about half an hour because he had just been bullied by Campbell for the entire first half. So it was a really great performance. And, you can't complain. He is the difference maker once again, as today we just put Wednesday away with ease. And that brings us to the manager. And I ummed and ahed about this because there were moments in the second half where I was screaming for changes. But overall, Wilder has managed 7 Sheffield derbies. We have won 4, drawn 3. We are unbeaten. We have scored 9 goals and only conceded 2. Wilder has a derby record that you would absolutely kill for. He is built to manage Sheffield United in these games of football. And for that reason, I'm giving him a 9 today because we just put in a professional, comfortable, easy performance. We killed them early when we knew they were vulnerable. He set us up so we got a press that was setting traps, and they fell into our traps time and time again. We got them 2 or 3 times in the first half where we could have scored goals, obviously the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 mistake and the actual goal. And so he set us up perfectly to try and pounce on their vulnerabilities and their mistakes. After half-time, that period where we have struggled so much, we actually came out with intent. We actually came out attacking to try and score a goal, and we got the second goal during a period which has been a nightmare for us so far this season, addressing one of our biggest weaknesses. He then made sure that we'd made the changes, so we just killed them on the break at the end. And ultimately, we scored 3. We could have scored 6, and we just dominated this game. And I think the manager deserves some credit for that. It's not just about Wednesday being bad. It's about United being good, doing the right things, managing this game properly, and playing it with professional pride. Thought we were by far and away the much better team, and I think we were well coached into that position. And let's just go back to that record because it's bizarre. Unbeaten in 7 games at Hillsborough. There are not many United managers. In fact, there's nobody. It's the best record of any manager to have managed that many Sheffield derbies. He's got the best record. Full stop. There are not many United managers who will have managed a 3-0 win at Hillsborough. Certainly none that come to mind for me. There is not many United managers who have an unbelievably good winning record at Hillsborough. We have won 3 out of the 4 games that Wilder has managed us there. Obviously, the other one being a boring 0-0. In terms of that overall picture and how that looks, the last time Wednesday scored a goal against us was Mark Duffy's moment. That's the last time they scored. We have given them PTSD so bad that they didn't even have a shot on target today. That's how much they don't want to score. They're so scared of it happening again, they didn't even shoot. They are a team who have been beaten into submission through United's dominance, and so much of that is through the management of Wilder, and he deserves that credit. And on a day like today, it's the day to celebrate what an unbelievable record he does have. So to reiterate, I've gone a 9, and I am happy. So there we have it, Blades. The season the season starts here for me. I think this has got to be a statement win, a statement performance. It's got to be the catalyst for us to now kick on. We can't afford to rest on our laurels and spend all our time celebrating this victory. We've got to beat Portsmouth at Bramall Lane on Wednesday, and we've got to drive ourselves up this division and away from the relegation zone, because every game matters now. This was an unbelievable win, but it's just 3 points. We need another 3 points midweek. If we can get them, we need another 3 points against Leicester as well next weekend. As soon as we can stack those wins together, we will rise up this division, and that's what really matters. So, one last question. Who put the ball in the Wednesday net?
𝗚𝗿𝗲𝗍